Welcome to Creamer Media's Resources Watch, the weekly video roundup of the events and people making and shaping the news in the mining industry. This week, platinum-linked hydrogen economy is the way to go, and RBPlat lists its good, bad, and maybe even ugly first half. The hydrogen economy is the answer to South Africa's decarbonized mobility feature to avoid battery electric vehicles sapping up too much of South Africa's already scarce electricity.
Government needs to build and assist in building that infrastructure, like in California, where government consciously stepped in and built that infrastructure itself. So we need that infrastructure. People will say, yes, I'll buy a fuel cell car, but where am I going to fill up? Equally speaking, the battery electric car, I love it, but where am I going to charge? If I have to charge and get a charging point, is it going to cost me another 20 minutes waiting? If I'm lucky, I find a vacant charging point. If Martin Creamer is ahead of me, then it's 40 minutes again. Do I want to suffer that wait? So you need to have quite a number of infrastructure points. So anything that can change the status quo will need capital investment in infrastructure. And I do think that fuel cell, the hydrogen economy is the answer, because then we don't have power problem as compared to battery electric cars, because if you have 1 million cars in Johannesburg, or say in South Africa, you can imagine the amount of power that those cars will consume. Are we abundant with power? No.
The performance of Royal Bafokeng Platinum in the 6 months to June 30 was a mixture of the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly.
The performance of RBPlat is actually a mixture of the good and the bad, maybe the ugly. Let me start with BRPM. A very solid performance, operational performance from BRPM, with the cost very well contained, but for the fact that we opened up UG2 platform and we had to bring the crews on board without the volumes coming up again. So that's why you see the cost per ton up and cost per ounce up. But generally the costs are contained. It's because of the UG2 having to bring it on board. But it's a very good performance. And if you look at BRPM, the gross profit is up by 140% compared to the same period last year. So solid performance from BRPM, and we are actually proud of the guys who deliver the result. And with regard to Styldrift, a not so good performance, even though the tons, the ounces are up at Styldrift, we are in a ramping up process. And in ramping up problems, there are ups and downs normally all the time. But it has to be said that we're not satisfied with the performance, because the ramping up was quite slow and the tons are lower and the ounces lower than we had planned. We experienced quite a number of difficulties in keeping to the ramp-up schedule, because the construction of the strike belts was slow and therefore we could not hoist. But also the skills shortage, it's in fleet management engineers. We had serious problems with skill shortage, people coming in, people going and being recruited, because it's a very scarce skill.
For mining news as it breaks, stay logged on to miningweekly.com and register for our free daily newsletter.